Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is, you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning. Welcome back. It is Tuesday the 11th. I was gone yesterday because I was still in the hospital from having a baby. So, we're back now. Baby is up all night. Jay Constant, congratulations. Thank you very much. Yeah, he has decided that nighttime is when he wants to be most active right now. So, we're going to have to fix some of that because it is very inconsiderate to mom. But I'll bring him in a little bit later when we got, when we're kind of more peak viewership. I'll show you guys him. And I'll tell you the story. It's a good story. Okay, and so let's turn the text-to speech on first. We'll start that. And let's go and see what's been going on since I've been gone. Where are we at? So let's come over here to the charts. Volume profile. Okay, so yesterday, Monday, up a little bit. Friday, down a little bit. The E-mini continues to push new highs, despite all of the panic and so forth over coronavirus. Interesting. But what about the treasuries? Treasuries continue to be somewhat elevated. Oh, we definitely got this range up in here. Right here, 130, 26.5 is definitely going to be a magnet. And we got this naked point of control down at 130.060. Wow, that's interesting. 26, yep. 26.5, 20, 26. How about our spread? It looks like the 2 and 10-year spread continues to be really steep, really flat. Continues to be really flat. Like when we were back here, it was inverted. I think that's inverted. So somewhere between there. So that's a lot. And I'm noticing just here on the open, ticking up a little bit. Let's see here. What do we got? Today is the New Hampshire primary, so that's important. We had building permits yesterday. Today, ECB President Lagarde speaks at the top of the hour, and then Fed Chair Powell testifies at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, with also Jolt's job openings looking for a reading of 6.93 million, with a previous reading of 6.8 million. And mortgage delinquencies, which does not have an estimate. Oh, we got Quarles and Kashkari speaking as well later today. Where are they speaking at? Quarles due to speak about bank supervision at the Yale Law School Dean's Lecture in Connecticut. And Kashkari to speak at a town hall event in Montana. Audience questions expected. All right. We got stuff later in the week, right? Oh, we got the auction. Powell will be testifying also. 30-year auction CPI. Wait, where is PPI? Is PPI next week? Where is PPI? PPI, my PPI. Oh, okay. Yep. Next Wednesday. Interesting. Very interesting. Don't we normally get the PPI first? Why did they change that? Okay. So that's basically where we at. Jay Constant, do you own Tesla? I think it can go to 10K in 10 years. Oh my gosh, dude. Are you... I think he's messing with me on that one. Why? You kidding me? I wouldn't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole. I mean, when they were selling it hard, I do think I remember saying, hey, as when Tesla goes down really hard, maybe worth buying. But that time is clearly past. Treasury continues to tick up. Interesting. Ooh. It's actually only just barely in an area where I can buy it, strangely enough. Quite a bit of movement overnight. But they are definitely seeing a buy in bonds here on the open. Gotta open up Discord here. Good morning, Jerry. Oh, we need to turn on the auto read.
Jerry is awake, says good morning.
There we go. Man. So I'll just, oh my gosh, we do have this one. Okay. Move him down. So new predicted focused Discord that I've been looking at. Kind of interesting. All right. Well, that's a pretty big iceberg there at 020. Going to be interesting if it turns there. There was definitely a spike. I'm not so sure that's enough for me to straight up short it. If I see a pull though, we might go for it. E-mini also seems a little I don't know about the E-mini here. It's down on the hour, but it's up on everything else. I think that they're going to have to come back a little bit. They just look really elevated. I don't know. All this movement looks fishy. I leave you guys alone for one day, and look what you do. Look what you do. Alligator, in my opinion, only rebalancing pre-testimony plus trapped overnight traders back to PP. Oh, okay. Makes sense. So he's saying that the pressure is probably still down. Let's see here. Does cumulative delta back that up? It does. There was a bit of shorting going into the open from starting about 5:45, and they've just been slowly squeezed out. Very interesting. But there's a lot more short overnight. A lot more short. Oh, wow. That's a lot of contracts. Oh, and they came back down too fast. Just as I was reading through all that, they ticked down. Oh, man. I'm not sure I like this. So the big order at 31 disappeared. I would have liked to have taken that short at 02. Well, opportunity has passed. I can see also something kind of happening in the E-mini. Okay, yeah, and they pushed it up. Somebody's messing with the book there. Hmm. Open up Twitter here. See what they're saying. China Global Times. U.S. is using the coronavirus opportunity in its competition with Beijing. Hmm. Something's up. That was 3 minutes ago. ECB four sources. ECB review won't fix house price inflation dilemma. Okay, so here's 30 minutes. So ECB should be starting now, right? No. Tuesday. Okay, Empire Manufacturing Index. Let's see what that number was. Oh, no, wait. That's next week. Was it? No,
Fazula
I'm screwed.
Tazabayev says hello.
Hey, welcome back. How have you been? Okay, yeah. Chairman Powell testifies. So that might be the volatility that we're getting here. The chairman is speaking, and so everybody
Fazula
wants to sell the
Tazabayev says
E-mini.
good.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find the video feed here. Here's his opening statement. Okay, just come out. What is the Federal Reserve? No, that's not it. It'll be on C-SPAN. It'll be on C-SPAN, probably. Bloomberg. A bunch of Forex. I don't want to watch it on Bloomberg. And 131, building a decent amount of volume. This is kind of an interesting profile that I don't see, that we've been seeing more recently, but is not really very common, where we have three prices with equal volume at it. Powell managed to say nothing. Not sure they will have liked to transition away from repo, but bonds seem okay by it. Post his opening statement. U.S. judge rules in favor of Sprint T-Mobile merger. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not a big fan of large companies merging together, but T-Mobile and Sprint probably need it, frankly. They probably need it, frankly. Fed's Powell in testimony to House panel says current stance of monetary policy will likely remain appropriate as long as incoming information about economy remains consistent with Fed's outlook. Great. So nothing happens. Powell says Fed would respond accordingly if developments emerge to cause material reassessment of its outlook. Powell says Fed is closely monitoring the coronavirus, which could lead to disruptions in China that spill over to the global economy. Have all the Twitter robots and day traders sitting there with the squawk in their ear trying to react to every tiny little thing that he says. I would say with the market not even putting up a 3K up anywhere is probably not very good trading opportunities here right now. It's not like terrible, but they're not putting up 3K. Yeah, back big or miss. Big year before he came out all bullish, if I remember right, and cocked it up, and market moved like, well, yeah, there was that Federal Reserve meeting in December of 2017 or 2018 rather. December of 2018 was a real disaster. Fed Powell stresses that Fed is closely monitoring coronavirus for a hit to China and the world. It's really interesting that the bonds appear to be up, and the only reason I can see for it is because of the coronavirus, but the equities continue to all-time highs. But we did get an outside bar there that appears to be resolving down to the downside in the E-mini. We might get one of these things where the E-mini opens down in the morning and then throughout the day they push higher again. Not unlike what happened yesterday. Was it like that yesterday? Yeah. A little bit of selling on the open, and then in the end they pushed higher. It's like all of the day traders are negative. Mm-mm-mm.
Ask Our Money Machine says, hello friend, what is our outlook for SPX in the next month or two?
What's our outlook in the SP? Well, so I'm not really very good at a long-term call. Well, not that I would say that I'm bad at it, but it's not really my specialty. Just to keep in mind, my specialty is definitely scalping treasuries. But I will try and opine if I could. It appears to me that at the current time that short-term traders are very concerned about the coronavirus, and the larger market, the longer-term market doesn't really care. I know you think you understand what you thought I said, but I'm not sure you realize what you heard is not what I meant. Alligator quoting Greenspan there. Yeah, so you kind of get this thing where the short-term traders will sell the E-mini on the open, and then they'll call cover, and then throughout the day it pushes higher. And that is a trend that I think we could continue to see throughout the week. With some caveats that probably somewhere along the line you're going to have another one of those big down days. I don't know. The thing is I with the coronavirus having a 2-week incubation period, that puts a really interesting kind of time constraint on things, right? Like,
Ask
we
Our Money Machine says on the SCR, is this our most proprietary indicators?
on the screen, is this your most proprietary indicators? Okay, so, oh no, I'm actually not showing my stuff right now. So I have an indicator that I wrote that I haven't shared yet, that you can see right here. This is basically showing us the net level 2 changes. So this is everything compared to actual movement or actual orders. And this is everything compared. This is everything on the ask side, and this is everything on the bid side. So you can see that this move up was caused primarily by sell orders pulling out of the way and leading us higher. And you can see that in the DOM. If we look here, notice all of these prices right here. We moved up with only 500 to 800 orders to be able to push us up. So that's kind of what it's showing me right now. Now I also have this in the E-mini. The net level 2 changes you can see here. Some pulling. How do I have that one set up? Oops, I want the indicator. Yeah, that one is, I believe, is just the difference. Which would mean the overall stacking or pulling. So here again, the move up on pulling in the E-mini. Very, very telling, right? You could fade that. I don't know how reliable of a trade that is, but we're still kind of investigating that one. Anyways, yeah, I think that with the coronavirus having like a delay of like 2 weeks, you kind of get this thing where like how long until like it kind of starts to become something that we're looking at more in the mirror, you know? And I'm not so sure because I kind of thought that around this time would be that spot, but apparently not. The market still really cares about it. Okay, now we're getting another, like the E-mini wants to do something and it's not moving yet. They're pulling. They're just pulling and letting it come up. I really don't like it when the market is largely pulling. Because you can anticipate volume, I think. I have a really hard time anticipating the pulls.
Live Action says don't know what to believe out of China. I had mixed reports of them hiding info.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, is like, if it was like a true doomsday scenario, it was really a true doomsday scenario, do you really think that China would be able to keep it under wraps? Because I don't. I really don't. And so I'm quite skeptical of any reports that are like, oh, this virus is killing millions of people a day, and probably not. That just would not be in line with the way that past epidemics have
Bot
occurred.
Says waving hand morning all.
Good morning, John. How are you? What do you think of this market? Do you think I'm a little this is kind of in an area where I just don't think I can trade. Let's see here. I should pull up my levels though. Okay. We're very much in an area previous open.
Bot says good, thanks.
Cool. What time is it? What do we got going on here? Oh, okay. 6:44. I was thinking I do want to show you guys the kid, but we'll wait until maybe like 7:15. He has been, oh my gosh. So like it's definitely been affecting my sleep, but my wife has just been like taking care of everything. It's kind of interesting, like it doesn't phase her one bit. But she was, from my perspective, up all night. like I would hear the baby crying. I wake up, she's over there. Fall back asleep.
Says, how are you?
Wake up.
Surprised to see you here today. Thought you'd be busy with the little guy.
No, I mean, I am busy with the little guy. I'm not planning on going to work today. But we can spare 2 hours to stream. It's all good. And I want to show you guys. I mean, I'm super effing proud. I have to tell you. I mean, you can understand. It took me like 10 years. Right? Like I got married when I was 26, I guess. I guess it hasn't quite been 10 years. I first married when I was 26. I was married for like what, 6 to 8 years. And my first wife, she had fertility problems, so we weren't able to have a kid. And we were probably going to have to do in vitro. And so then we eventually got divorced. I kind of think that part of it was that she was baby hungry and she wasn't having a baby, and that's why she kind of started to do impulsive things. But I digress. So then we get remarried and we're like, well, we should have a baby together too. And then it's been like what, 3 years now, I think. And finally we were able to have a baby. So yeah, it took me some work. So I am quite happy and proud about it. And he came out perfectly healthy. In fact, everybody keeps telling me that he's really good looking. I'm like, they're like, oh, he's so cute. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure, like at the hospital, like all of the nurses at the hospital are like, oh, he's so cute. And I'm like, I think you say that to everybody. Like, I can't imagine the hospital worker going like, yeah, he's really cute. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think he's cute. But like on if we were to compare him to how cute all babies were, they're acting like he's like a third sigma baby. And I'm a little skeptical about that. He's maybe he's a little bit above average, maybe. I don't know. He does have some nice things going for him though. Hit big or miss big says I think spoos are going to have a hissy fit. Well, I think that the probability on the downside, well, with that latest move up, kind of cancels out a lot of things, but there is definitely some opportunity here for them to push lower. So treasuries are probably going to fight this move higher. Probably. Let's see what they decide to do. If I start to see like the pulling, that could maybe be where we might try and take a short. So they're having a hard time reaching up above 03. You can see somebody iceberging up there, but I think that probably the best way to do this is maybe if we get below right there. Oh my gosh, did you guys hear that? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh man. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, apparently he's doing like the cluster feeding thing where he'll eat a lot in a short period of time, and he's doing it all at night. So he seems to not know what daytime and nighttime is. And she was pretty active.
Live Action says Euro has been dumping every open all last week and looks like it's still dumping today.
Let's pull up our extra chart here. Oh, how come I don't have... Okay, you know what? I need to open up another tab here. Okay. So I'm getting a lot of clicks here. Let me show them a picture. Okay, they just flipped the level 2. They did not. So I'm expecting that they're gonna pull low 2 half out. But they flipped it, but the orders didn't hit in, and so I didn't hit in because I think that I set a pretty good point for when I want to. Okay, sure. Okay. Now they didn't clear O2 half though, so that's not good. Okay. Let me just. That might just be a lure that we fell into. Okay, yeah, because it took only 246 to tick up at 030. That is not what we wanted to see at all. Damn. Damn. Ooh, man. He's really trying to make it get it up. I don't know. This is interesting action. Okay. So we got out of that. We got out of that without taking too bad of a hit. So good deal there. It'd be funny if they come back down and they hit the other way. They completely pulled though. Oh man, this is like really bad action. They just pulled 1,000 at 03. So action is all pulling. So I'm wondering here.
Live action says 6C broke low of the year.
Okay. What about that 6J? The 6J doesn't necessarily justify what just happened, but it is up. Like all of that movement was off of pulling. And I'm wondering here, like, am I just seeing that because I'm watching it carefully now? Or is that always the way it is? You know what I mean? Very curious. Okay.
Uzi Knesset says ZB
down.
in the opening range now.
Yeah, well, that was kind of why I wanted to short it here. I think I was a little bit too early, Uzi. Okay, we do have some news here at the top of the hour, right? What is it?
Uzi Knesset says had to wait for a couple ticks higher.
Yeah, I definitely misread it. Oh yeah, we got ECB President Lagarde speaks. Due to deliver opening remarks at the presentation of the 2018 ECB annual report before the European Parliament in Strasbourg. You can see them moving it down 025. Like, the spot wasn't bad, but the setup was. The setup totally ended up being a lure. As I took it at 0.2 in fact. You gotta be kidding me, right? Nope. Well, it was the same thing there. They actually went lower. It was a lure again.
Live Action says don't think anyone trades grains here, but WASD report today, be careful if you do.
We do have a grain channel. There is some activity in there. Well, man. Only 400 to tick up there again? You gotta be kidding me. Well, if they come back and they fill that, I don't want it anymore. I'm probably gonna have to puke here. The inside is being really... It doesn't take very many orders at all in the L pull. See that? Well, okay, that time they actually absorbed quite a bit at 0.2. The cumulative delta in net is going down, by the way. Like, the market orders are selling. Okay. I cleared it, doesn't hold. Okay, that time they hold 20.02 pulls. I need to shave. This is getting long. It's starting to itch and bother me. Okay, so a little bit of spreading robot selling 0.2 there. Okay. Wondering how much of that, when we moved up, there was definitely cumulative delta long, and I wonder how much of that was people covering from the European session, and how much of that was new positions.
Live Action says She says prevention and control work on virus having positive results.
Oh, yes.
Live Action says see the videos of China police dragging people from their homes, putting them in quarantine?
I have not seen that. Yeah, I mean, the thing is it's like, this is like the perfect storm for us to like not really know what's going on, Because first of all, I'm not an expert in disease control, are you?
Ask Our Money Machine says what is L% target each month?
I don't have
Uzi
one.
Knesset says saw the videos of them stuffing a woman into a metal box on a pickup truck, lol.
Oh my gosh. So my opinion is you take what the market gives you. And so I base, I have targets for individual trades based on the average range that we're going through, which in treasuries is around 3 to 6. Um, but I don't try and sit down and say I want to make X a month, because when you start looking at those numbers and you try and make things happen, you will force something that's not there. I believe when you're looking at goals, because we always talk about setting goals, you should absolutely set goals, but you should set goals for things that you have control over. And you don't have control over what the market's going to do. And if you try and set a goal to say, oh, I want to make $1,000 this month, and there's just not $1,000 available for you, then is that really a wise goal? No, I think that you're just going to stretch to try and get it and harm yourself in the process. So I don't recommend setting those kinds of targets. If you do set a target, it might be like once you hit that amount, it's like you're doing really good and you just want to take your profit and stop trading for that month or whatever. That's totally okay. 0.5 is absorbing a decent amount. 0.2 was absorbing a decent amount as well, though. So overall, we're getting quite a bit of market sell orders coming into the market. Okay, they did tick down. E-mini has made a good recovery and is ticking up and might go and push the session highs, believe it or not. Anyways, on the coronavirus. So first of all, I'm not an expert in disease control, but then the second thing is you have this situation where like China seems to be like completely overreacting. Like you have to stuff people into a metal box on a pickup truck because you want to quarantine them and they're not cooperating. Like, it's just really insane how they're going. Even if it was a real epidemic, some of the measures that they're taking in China, I think, are a little extreme. And I think that they're trying to do it to try and make the populace feel like, they're in charge and the party knows what's going on. But I think it's having the opposite effect.
Uzi Knesset says plastic trash bag burqas have also apparently become fashionable.
Gosh. It's turning into like it's just causing mass hysteria because nobody trusts the government now, and they all think the government is hiding something. And there could be plenty of things that you might see on the ground that might make you think that the government is lying about things when they're really not. So it's hard to tell. So my opinion is, don't trade things you don't understand. So we can trade momentum, but to try and say, oh, the E-mini is a buy here or the E-mini is a sell here because of coronavirus, I think is like, come on. Like, do you really know what the net effect on the global economy that the coronavirus is likely to have? Because I don't. I can't calculate that. How do you calculate that? Well, this has turned into a pretty good short. It looks like we're getting a little bit of absorption now, 131 even, that you would always expect to see that because it's an even number. And there's also kind of this bump in the profile there. So there's going to be some fighting. If we're able to start hitting into 31.5.
Uzi Knesset says opening range play in ZN.
Right?
Live Action says they're spraying huge fogs of bleach in the streets.
That's so weird. Can you show me a video of that? Yeah, Uzi. So it was the order. It was the trade that I wanted, right? It was they pushed into the opening range and the opening range got rejected. That was 100% what I was trying to do. But the first time I tried taking it, they tricked me and stomped me out. Okay, well the
Uzi Knesset says grinning face with big eyes.
A bigger miss because it's super aggressive. Yeah, well, there's a lot of sellers on that one.
Duper's Delight says dude, Flight 93 crash site was an empty hole in the ground. Government knows where that aircraft really went.
Wait, which one was Flight 93? Man, that's a real... Flight 93. Oh. Oh.
Live
You
action
one of
says
those
6C
9/11
retesting break
conspiracy
here.
theorists? Look at the way this comes back up. And on almost no volume. And the level 2 is being weird through here. This right here. That was like terrible. That was a terrible drawing. You see the volume there? That is weird. That is very weird. It looks like they're coming back because the E-mini is selling a little bit there, but what we see in the E-mini is perhaps just a pullback. I don't know.
Duper's Delight says Richard Branson's space tourism stock SPCE is a great buy. Recent IPO.
SPCE? Well, I'll have to look into that. That might be interesting. I'm not really interested in another like crazy stock like Tesla. And just like where all of the people are at. You can chase the performance and that's totally okay, but once it starts to become like the hype, I say watch out because you're likely to get hurt in those areas. Okay, so they had a good down push, Uzi, and now they're coming back up and they're testing it again. Very suspicious. But 0 to 04 new range, in my opinion, dead zone now. Talking about the Treasury, I believe. Talking about the 10-year, rather. ECB President Lagarde. Against this background, the ECB's Governing Council has acted in a determined fashion to achieve price stability in line with the ECB's mandate. Monetary policy cannot and should not be the only game in town. Oh, I see. Calling on the European Parliament to pull their heads out of their butts.
Duper's Delight says space tourism is overdue by about 15 years. Lot of demand coming.
Am I going to be, when I'm old, when I'm like, how old will I be in 15 years? If I'm 35 now, I'll be 50. So when I'm 50, will teenage Asher, that's my newborn son's name, he's going to take me to space. That's going to be great. 15 years from now, you'll be watching this. Let's go to space. If I'm afraid, don't buy that
Uzi
excuse.
Knesset says space tourism is a game for Saudi princes. It'll never be affordable for the average consumer.
You don't think so? You'll see. How much do they think it's going to cost? They would need, like the problem is apparently the space elevator is kaput. We all thought the space elevator was going to be the thing that made space travel cheap, but apparently the strength of carbon nanotubes did not live up to the amount that they would need to make a space elevator. So the space elevator is not happening. So Uzi might be right. It might be too expensive, space tourism. I don't know. I think I should have taken the 4. I saw there at 131, I definitely identified it as a spot that we could see some resistance, right? But I thought, oh, well, we could hit in at 31.5 and push to the other side of that profile at 30.5, right? Now they're just sucking it back up like no problem. So overall,
Uzi Knesset says trust me, space tourism and a Star Trek future are something humanity will never see.
if you say so. I'm not. This is like, I don't know if I'm an expert on that. I'm not an expert on disease control or the Chinese government or online Chinese hoaxes. And I'm not an expert in space tourism, the space tourism industry. I do watch a lot of stuff about space travel. So I'm really interested. One of the things I find interesting is that when you're looking at a rocket, one of the things that they got is that the angle of the nozzle, um, the optimal angle for the nozzle to get the highest velocity fuel coming out at the end changes based on where you are in the atmosphere. That's why they would have multi-stage rockets, right? So those different stages would be optimized for different parts of the atmosphere. Well, they designed something for the space shuttle. It was going to replace the space shuttle, that they were able to develop materials that could actually move, and they were like square thrusters that opened and closed based on the atmosphere. And they tested it and it worked and everything, but then there was other problems with the project and it got canned. And now with SpaceX, they're kind of starting to use some of that technology. Like they have that for the this new rocket that they're
Duperstolite
testing.
says, will NFLX break its previous high soon?
Oh,
Similar to
who
the
knows?
Amazon breakout? Also check AT&T 20-year-long pennant. Uzi Knesset says humanity would be better served adapting to climate changes, which are going to happen no matter what we do, than it would be trying to get off the planet for trillions of dollars a seat.
Well, there's definitely going to be what is the word? I find the climate change mitigation strategies a little strange to me, because some people are talking like, oh, everybody on the coast is going to be relocated, and no, it's not going to happen. But probably there will be more flooding in those areas, so people will have to adjust accordingly, and it doesn't seem like they understand. I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, guys, if the world, we're told that
Uzi
climate
Knesset
change is
says we
already
shouldn't mitigate
unavoidable.
climate change. We can't. We should adapt to it.
They're saying that it's gonna happen, like we've already passed the point of no return. So why isn't everybody on the coast moving? Why does Al Gore still own a house on the coast? I'm not saying that I don't believe him. I'm just saying that behavior doesn't match up with what they say is gonna happen. And the answer is that some of the dire predictions are bullshit. Not saying that the climate change isn't happening and then it's not a problem, but some of the doomsday scenarios are exaggerated. The coast isn't going to go away. There'll just be more flooding because it's only about like a 1 meter rise in sea level over the next 100 years. Is that really significant? Only if you live in the Florida Keys. Uzi might have a problem. He lives in Florida.
Uzi Knesset says there is no point of no return. It's going to be cyclical on time frames far too large for a human being to observe in a lifetime. So we just have a century and a half of cyclical panics.
The market is starting to thicken up. We are getting 3Ks now. There's still that empty area at 30.5 though. And a lot of volume going through at O2 as well. Interesting. Aha.
Uzi Knesset says the point of no return stuff just serves the panics, which serve political agendas.
Oh,
The
yeah,
reality
totally.
is we cannot stop the climate from changing. Our only hope is to adapt to the changes.
Well, I kind of wonder, like, one of the things that bothers me is that it doesn't seem to me like that they have a way of saying, like, this is the net effect on climate based off of how much CO2 we're putting into the air, you know? Like how much CO2 would we have to take out to fix it is like, I don't think they can calculate that yet. So the idea of like we're gonna fix it is kind of silly, isn't it? But then the thing that really, really bothers me on that one, oh my gosh, is that like
Duper's Delight says Musk brain chips coming out this year.
the thing that really, really bothers me is that the United States is really good on this stuff. And everybody is all freaking out about Western countries when it's the countries that are causing the climate change are all, China and, well, primarily China. No,
Uzi
don't care.
Knesset says we can't fix it because climate change isn't indicative of anything being broken.
Well, what you're saying is that you think that it's a sun cycle, probably. That's what you're gonna say, huh? Huh. I know. We've had this conversation before, haven't we? I think we have. But I really don't know. I'm not an expert in climate change. I'm an expert on treasuries, and I'm an expert on politics. And
Live
I can
Action
definitely
says I have
see.
a friend who works for NASA and he told me the poles are shifting.
Oh yeah, so you're probably talking about the
Uzi
magnetic
Knesset
pole.
says I don't know what kind of cycle it is, all I know is it's a cycle.
So there was this study where
Duper's Delight says Earth and Mars sun cycles correlate. Maybe there are cows on Mars?
yeah, we're like getting like way off in that, but there was this one guy that was claiming that climate change could be accounted for from solar cycles, and that's been really controversial and people have disputed it. So I wouldn't completely just take it for granted. But again, I'm not an expert in that area, so it's like, who am I to say who's right or wrong? I can see it on the political side, and what's the political side is even if they're right about something, politicians will exaggerate
Uzi Knesset
it.
says if human industrial activity causes the climate to heat up, what caused the medieval warming period which, not for nothing, was much warmer than this current warming period?
Well, so my understanding on that thing, I don't know what caused the medieval period warming period, but there's this really good graph on XKCD where they show the medieval warming period, and they kind of show that the degree of climate change that we're having now is like exponentially higher than anything we've ever seen, including that warming period. Like it's changing too quickly compared to what we know. But I don't know. There's been this other thing like people dispute the climate numbers. They're saying that the stations are in bad spots and that what we're seeing as an increase in temperature is actually just urbanization.
Duper's Delight says CO2 lags temp rises, according to the Vostok ice core samples.
I'm not an expert on climate change. I'm just really skeptical about somebody in the government coming in and recommending policy based on that, because I know that politicians always try and deceive us on that sort of a thing. There's a decent amount of volume going both ways here at 0.5. But the E-mini is pushing the highs again. So it's interesting that they're just like completely ignoring.
Live Action says 10-tick gap between bid and ask, ridiculous.
Where are you seeing that? The E-mini is definitely moving up. I don't know about that's weird. And I mean they broke that
Live
inside
Action
bar.
says on wheat. Uzi Knesset says it's not climate change people should be skeptical about. It's real, it's a thing. But the panics are bullshit.
Yeah, there's panic. It's just that politicians you be skeptical about a politician coming in and saying that something about science, because they don't understand these things. They don't. All they know is that it's a political opportunity for them, right? Politicians are experts in what? Politics. Not climate change. Not climate change. All they can do is listen to somebody that's an expert in climate change and then use what that expert says to their political advantage. Ergo.
Bots says personally I do think climate change resulting from the release of CO2 as a byproduct of fossil fuel use is real and as a threat to our health. Bots says the issue is how do we make changes to mitigate the problem that don't result in worse problems than the ones we have already created.
Exactly. And this is where I have and this is the primary problem that I have with climate change, okay? Is that if climate change truly is a problem, The solution will not lie in more government. The free market will come up with a
Duperstolite says
solution.
don't assume those scientists have positive motives. They kick out dissident scientists.
Well, I wouldn't even attribute something like that to malice. This is another thing is when we see situations like this, we always attribute it to malice because that's the only thing that we in our small groups can really see. But when you're talking about large populations, there can be all sorts of diverse motivations for things that, you know. So it could just be the culture that has been created, and it's not that they're trying to kick out dissidents, but that's just what the human behavior tends to lead to. That makes sense. Okay, there's a pretty decent amount there at 0.00 But yeah, I say if you're concerned, like this is the thing that always irks me is, or like when I'm on Reddit and people are arguing about it, is like, okay, if climate change is really that big of a deal, then invest in stocks that come up with solutions for climate change. Because the free market is going to be the one that's going to be able to come up with a solution, not the government. They've never been good at that sort of a thing. Government is not good at that stuff. Government, how often do they? I mean, sometimes they do good. Like this space program is an example of where they've done good, right? Up until like, the 90s. And then what happened was the government went down this road where they tried to create a new space shuttle, and there was problems with the new space shuttle, some problems in the design, and the whole thing got scrapped. And since then, the whole space program has kind of been in limbo for the last 20 years since that happened, right? And then they said, oh, well, what we need to do is we need to use the free market to do this instead. And now that they have the free market, we're starting to see innovation again, right? It'll be the free market. The government's not good at that stuff. Well, they can have successes, but in the long run, when something fails like that, then it's like such a huge problem that makes sense. Like with the Russians wanted to get to the moon. They made a great rocket engine, but they wanted to do like 30 of them on one rocket, and they couldn't get them all to sync up. So the Russian space program failed because of the Russian system. Whereas the American system, they were paying contractors and stuff. Anyways, always be the free market. I gotta try and bring it back to stock somehow, right? Okay, downtick, that's good. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm okay with it.
Duperstolite
Okay.
says if you watch climate debates, the pro-anthropogenic global warming alarmist always admits they don't actually have empirical proof.
I think that's probably too broad of a statement, because there are certain things that they can prove pretty conclusively, right? Like based on the data that we have, it's pretty clear that the climate is warming, and considerably so. Now, so in that case, the only thing that you can do is question the data, and there certainly are reasons to question the data. But until you've proven it, I can't really say that I have to go with the data until you've proven that the data is wrong. But then there's other things that they don't like these models. Like that's another thing is like anything based on a model, you just remember it's a model, and models are always wrong. We in the stock market should know that better than anybody, right? That models are wrong. They can't exactly predict reality. That's why they're called models. Because otherwise it would just be reality. That was uptick at 0.10 is a little disheartening. They could probably still tick down, and I am noticing that the offer is holding a lot thicker up in here. But you can see when they were down at 0.01, they weren't able to get it to go through. And there's definitely enough volume in here. It's curious, though, that the cumulative delta has been basically flat to down this whole time. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that. I'm surprised, given the way that we turned around at 131 even. I'm surprised that they didn't turn back down and test the bottom side a little harder than they did. Mm-hmm. And especially, I'm also a little surprised that as bullish as the E-mini has been going into the open here, that the treasuries haven't come back more either. Isn't that a little weird? Hmm. It's just the treasuries want to stay elevated for some reason. Hmm. Should probably acknowledge, though, there does appear to be somebody out there that just wants the treasuries to be higher.
Ace Trade
And is
says morning.
pulling. Oh, there's Ace. How are you doing? Like a lot of this up movement has been pulling. Same within the E-mini. There's been some of this kind of flaky movement. Like that original spike up, that was totally pulling in. Kind of led to a little bit of downside, but then they petered out at 33.61 and turned, and since then it's been nothing but higher. Wouldn't be surprised if on the open, though, they decide to go down and test that area.
Ace Trade says congrats again, bro.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll come and bring him on in a little bit. Probably when this trade fails. I really bungled this one. I really should have taken the +4. And I've been sitting here waiting, wanting it to come back down to here. And they're just not doing it. It's been like sideways to up. And they're definitely testing the upper end of the range a lot harder than they tested the bottom end of the range, right? Like on the bottom end of the range, they like not that many orders went through, and then they ticked up, and look at how they ticked up on no volume. And now when they're testing down again, it's absorption. It's kind of lame, but and you'd think that you'd get up to a point where they would exhaust and they would be able to test the downside again more easily, but it's not happening. So you see there, 02 half, 2,125 sold into it. Not able to make it go offer.
Sebastian Marquez says hi Seth, congratulations. Bot
Hey,
says
you.
when I was in trade school, 40 years ago, one of the teachers discussed hydrogen as an alternative to petroleum-based fuels.
Oh, yeah.
Bot says given the Earth is 70% covered in water and water is essentially H2O, you would think that would be the most logical alternative to using hydrogen as a fuel instead of petroleum.
Yeah, I remember them talking about cars that ran on water. Whatever happened to that? I haven't heard anything about that recently. Ooh. Okay. On that downtick, they stacked 4K on the 03. I didn't see a click. There was no click, but they definitely stacked some at 03 there. Somebody stacked on the bid at 4, way down there at 130 and 14 and a half. Could probably ignore that one. That's interesting.
Duper's Delight says Netflix booming.
You really like that Netflix, huh, Dupers? So here's a question. Why do you tell me about that? Do you want me to go and buy Netflix? Do you think I'm going to go and buy Netflix? So if I went and bought Netflix this morning, would you be really happy? What do you think? Oh, That stack at 030 is really interesting to me. I think that there might be another set of priors. Okay, so here's the E-mini open.
Bots says exactly, when you burn hydrogen in an internal combustion engine, the byproduct is water.
Yeah. Well, no, I remember there was this thing of where they like electrolyzed the water to split the oxygen and the hydrogen apart. Because the biggest problem with the hydrogen powered car is how do you get the hydrogen into the car? So they were saying that you could just give them water and then it would separate the oxygen and the hydrogen. Hmm. Okay, so they're battling it out in the E-mini right now. It looks like the buyers may win out here, but it's relatively slow start so far, I would say. And the net on the first impulse, the net orders was selling. So they may try and sell now if they get below 33.63. Hmm. Okay, that O2 half is absorbing. So we've definitely identified a So when they downticked at O2 there, they stacked the O2 half to 3 as well. So somebody's definitely putting up a fight here. Wow, and he bought all 3,000 of it. That's not good. That's the end of us. Darn. E-mini pretty hard sell here. Well, I shouldn't say pretty hard sell, but they're definitely selling it, right? Okay, well, we definitely screwed that trade up, right? I should have taken the 4. I don't know what's wrong with me, but well, I know what's wrong with me. It came back, and I thought it was going to come back. I should have taken the 2 when it came back. It was really where I made the real mistake, because it's not really bad to have missed. I mean, it was so quick. No shame in missing that, but having it come back all 4 and then going past it, that was. And but we're kind of. Whoa, what? 5K at O2 half? I'm really skeptical on their ability to hold these levels, but I can't take a trade right now. You know what I should do is we should go get the baby. I'm going to show you the baby, okay? I'll be right back.
Uzi Knesset says sellers still trying to fight the opening range high in ZB. Ace Trades says baby. Sebastian Marquez says grinning face with big eyes.
So let's see here. I might have to. There you go. You can see him. You want to see him on the big? Make the camera nice and big. He is asleep. Oh, he is asleep. Look at that. He's got that, like, he's concentrating really hard.
Uzi Knesset says the nugget.
So you want to hear this story? Here's the story. This is
Duper's Delight says taxation is theft, and taxation is violence. Should we really trust the scientific advice of thugs? RJ Wheel
Anyways.
says he looks like an order flow trader.
You think he looks like an order flow trader? It could be. I'm having a hard time deciding like which of my features he has. I don't think he has my eyes, which is probably a good thing. I think he has my nose though. My nose isn't too bad. That haircut says scalper, right? He came out with a full head. So I tell you, he is not bald like the Pope. Yeah. So when he was, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. I think he can hear me okay here. When he was born, so while I'm watching him, oh my gosh. Well, first of all, it took a long time. All right. Here, there. That's good. Or how can I do this? There we go. Yeah. So when he was born, it took forever. Like, I was happy that we didn't have to go in until the morning, because I was like, I don't want to be in labor all night. Well, so we went in at like 9 o'clock and we were in labor all night. Like, he was born at like literally like 3 o'clock in the morning. And because she just wasn't going in, like they put her on the progesterone, or sorry, the oxytocin wasn't really going into labor. So they went and they broke her water, and then she started to go into labor. But even then, it was like his head wasn't coming down and pushing on the uterus. So it took a really long time. So like, I eventually was like, well, I don't know if this is going to happen. So I went to sleep, and like 4 hours later, they've got like everything set up. Like, they got like a clean table and a dirty table. What weight? He was 8 pounds. He was over 8 pounds. Yeah. They got everything set up. So I'm all ready. I'm like, okay. So I get all ready. We're going to go and have this baby. All right. I mean, my wife has big babies. So this was the thing, is we knew that, well, he was in the wrong position originally, and the doctor was really concerned about him flipping back around, and we didn't want to do a C-section. So there was this whole thing about, we got him out a week early, because we knew that if we let him go all the way to term, that he'd be too big. I mean, he's 8 pounds now, and he's growing already really fast. Oh, you need that Binky back in there, buddy. He is like, cold. He's been eating. Anyways, so he was big. So we get started on the birthing, right? And I can see like just this little, like that much of his head coming out, right? And he's got hair. I mean, look at him. He's really got hair. Do you not want it, Dinky? Do you not want it? Do you want it? All right. So I can only see like that much of the head. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is going to take a little bit, because that was like one push, and I can only see like that much of his head. All right. And then the doctor is like, okay, we're going to have to cut. And she just starts cutting. She just starts cutting my wife open, and I knew, like, my wife did not want to be cut. She had happened to her before, and she was trying to avoid that, right? Like, when he was coming out and you'd see blood, it was like, okay. Then she starts cutting. The blood didn't bother me, but the fact that they were cutting really bothered me. And they're like really pushing her up into a ball. Like, they wanted me to push on her leg and push her up so that she was like in a ball to get him out fast. And I start to feel woozy, and next thing you know, I'm on the ground. And yeah, I passed out. I didn't hit my head. I got like a little bruise on my hand, but other than that, I was fine. But I was out just from that. You look like you're gonna faint just from talking about it. My arm is a little bit tired. Yeah, I passed out. So while I was out, Um, she pushes again, and the head comes out, and his umbilical cord was around his head. So the doctor said, "Okay, we gotta push him now." And the doctor cut the umbilical cord, and my wife just kept pushing. My wife just kept pushing and pushed him out, and he was born. And I was out maybe a minute, and by that time, they were taking him over to the table to the side. Can you believe that? Oh, and then after they got his head out, his shoulder got stuck too. Ace says no shame in passing out. Great story. I feel bad about passing out. You know what though? I've always kind of had a sensitive valgus nerve. Like I've had some experiences where they were drawing blood from me and I've passed out. So it's not something I'm unfamiliar with. And I've learned like I always got to drink a lot of water before I'm doing something like that and eat and everything. But it was being up all night. Being up until 3 a.m. and then not having eaten anything for like 7 hours or whatever, I think kind of is what did it. So maybe if I was, better in that respect, then it wouldn't have happened. Oh, that's what we were being upset about. You were there, that's what counts. Yeah, but it's a good story. As long as you didn't scream first, no. Like the thing is I don't personally. It's like unconscious. Oh, I think you sell that. Holy crap! Holy crap! Like, can we do this again? I'm just gonna. While I'm talking about this, I'm just looking at the thing, and man, they really stacked on that last downtick, and I think I want to be short. We'll see what happens. It looks like the E-mini is turning around here, though. You could maybe buy the E-mini, actually. Yeah, I think you could buy it here at 33.62. 33.62. Can I? Well, I don't want to take it live here. I don't think I'm in a position to take a live trade, but we could do that. Anyways, my daughter's umbilical cord was around her neck 4 times. Wow, really? And what happened when they did when she was born? They have any trouble? Well, that's crazy. Well, anyways, yeah, he was hard to get out. So, anyways, that's why it took a while for us to. Well, I had a preference on the name, and they kind of had a preference on the name, but in the end, we named him Asher because that means he's lucky. Because it was hard to get him out. So that's the story. Oh, you need to go and be burped a little bit, I think. You need to go be changed now. Because you just did like an atom bomb in your pants right there. Asher Ace traits. Every time when I was looking for names, I have to admit, when I was looking at names and Ace would come up and I'd be like, I would totally name my kid Ace if it was multiple syllables. It has to be multiple syllables. Okay. Okay, let's go take mom so she can burp you, okay? Okay, so I'll be right back, guys. John says they just unwound it, but the doctor did say it was very unusual. That's interesting. Yeah. was a little scary. Like in the end, it's a little scary. So let's fix the camera here. I can see our order at 62 never got hit. That sucks. His crying just made my milk come in. That's funny. Yeah, he's. You know what? Every noise that he makes is cute. Every noise, every little noise. He. You know what? He's not really a very cryy baby though. I mean, he was crying for us there, but he's pretty chill. But part of that is that he is like asleep most of the day. So, man, that sucks that we missed that e-mini trade, but that's okay. Was worth it. Was worth it. Wasn't it worth it? Ace is going to have to go change his shirt now. Still worth it. Do you think that the treasuries can come down here? So just based on that stacking, way worth it.
Ace Trade says way worth it.
Just based on that stacking at 03.5 seems to suggest that the treasuries are going to take a big dive, but they're not doing it. And the E-mini continues to just buy up. So here's the open. They're struggling with it again. Okay, a pretty solid downtick that time. The offer's not holding super well, so nor are the bids at 01.5 and 01 pulling out of the way. I'm a little worried that those guys at 01.5 and 01 actually want to be filled. Okay, E-mini. Almost above the... Okay, there we go. Nope. He's fighting it. He's fighting it hard. Yeah, I went and took him back to mom, and I was like, I think he just let a stinker. And she's like, I just changed him. I just changed him. I don't know. I think that they're going to push this high, but somebody's really fighting it. It's going to take them a bit. Oh, it's going to turn down a bit, maybe. Okay, there's another adjustment there. That time on the bid at 01.5, they're stacking a ton. What? Not quite sure what to think about that one. Especially since you're getting a huge iceberg at 02. If that 01.5 pulls out of the way, we can do that. If that pulls out of the way, then we have a really good chance at downside. Let's see if the E-mini pushes that high, if that 01.5 pulls out of the way or not. That could be a lure at 02. Like they're trying to get people to hit into 02 so they can sell it. That's what I suspect is happening. Let's reset this. E-mini Another tick up, another tick up. Okay, now they're above the open. Okay. Whoa, they sold that fast. Wow. I don't know if that guy at 01 really wanted to buy all of that. I don't think he did. Now it's scratching it. Okay. Well, somebody is definitely willing to sell this. Can they take out the 01? Some hardcore defense they're playing there. Okay, there's the E-mini making another push. They went higher there, but they pulled back really quickly. I think you're going to have to get above like 67.25. Hmm. 6K at 01 half? 6? Is this going to be 10K at 01 half? Not over 01 half. Still sold. I think that one at 01 half is a 12K. Ooh, okay. So they sold 01 half, but only 2506 hit it. Good. Good hit. Oh, I forgot that we took that we had that sell limit. Oh, that worked out well. I'm gonna be careful about this though. We have to manage the multiple contracts. So we took the one at 02. It's kind of where we hit even at. Or did we just take them both there? That's interesting. I should take one there and then see what happens. I would think that they would hit the downside of this a lot harder this time around. After all of that. Oh, are they going to recover that one? No, it's iceberging there too. Hmm. 33.66. Okay, we got some news coming in about 5 minutes. Jolts.
Uzi Knesset says jolts in 5.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And E-mini's spending a lot of time there in that 3366 area. Okay, Treasury's downtick, pretty solid downtick, but good stack at half. The zeros, evens, there's always going to be a lot of volume. Even though there was a ton there before, I think there's still going to be a couple thousand traded at even. Or it should change the title of this story to talk about how I passed out. They gonna do it? Oh, that's too long of a title. No, they're not gonna film me. E-mini's selling again. Pull this over here. The heck? Come on. There we go. Okay. So the reading we're looking for is 7 million versus previous reading of 6.8. Good downtick. I think we're okay. There's a lot there, though. Pretty good amount. Okay. $2 minutes. E-mini,
Dave A
go
says
get up
mornin'
there.
boys. Welcome back, Seth.
Hi, Dave. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if I got the best title here, but there wasn't a lot of room. They didn't give me a lot of characters. 5K now at zeros. Well, that might mean that there's too many people short.
Trader Lincoln Mitchell says crude oil just came shy of a major price of 50.27.
Hmm. Okay. So there was a big stack there at evens and it pulled, but they're not quite hitting into it yet.
Gary
Cool.
Rich says good morning all.
Hey, Gary, there you are. How's it going? Okay. So they're fighting at 131 even. Okay, 5 seconds.
Minster Games says good morning America.
Hey, that's a new name. Welcome. Okay, so here comes the news. I'm not seeing polling going into the news. I haven't gotten the number yet. Let's check Twitter here. number still hasn't seemed to have hit.
Gary Rich says your title of this broadcast, hilarious.
Yeah, you missed it. I passed out. It was like 3 a.m. I hadn't eaten. Oh my gosh, I'm so sweaty. Like it's not that stressful. But I did pass out. I saw them. I was
Live
like
action
I was
says
all
6-4
cool.
miss.
I was all cool, and then they started cutting her, and it's like involuntary. I just get woozy. Like the side of the blood, it doesn't bother me. I didn't think I was bothered. I thought I was okay, but I passed out. Okay, there's the E-minis going. I still okay. Jolt's jobs openings was 6423 versus an 6925, 7 million or so estimate. So less than expected. But E-mini not carrying. Good stop run there up into the highs. Very good stop run. Okay. Down tick. Okay. Well, where can the E-mini go from here, man? Ugh. Since those are all-time highs, you have to use extensions to predict. I'm just so surprised that the treasuries are holding the bid here, despite the E-mini pushing so
Trader
aggressively.
Lincoln Mitchell says the trade to watch is YM to hit 29,390 today.
390 today? I'm tempted to open up another chart here, but I don't want to. I have to do one
Dave A
without
says must.
Delta.
Fade. ATH. Hasn't worked yet but one day. Trader Lincoln Mitchell says yes.
Man, it's just like I can't believe that the treasuries can hold a bid though. Like, how are they doing that? I don't know. Somebody that's very big and very much in control of the markets really seems to think that treasuries aren't going to get below 131 even. And
RJ Wheel says 390 would be overnight high retest. Very doable.
okay.
Trader Lincoln Mitchell says needs to get over close above 29,366. This will be a good setup.
Do you know like what would be roughly equivalent in the E-mini? That even is going back and forth a lot. See, now that they're hitting into it here, they should be able to get to the other side of this profile. They should be able to get through. Yen is starting to go, says Hit Big or Miss Big. Yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is.
RJ Wheel says I'm long YM.
Okay. It sucks that I missed my setup at 62.
Gary Rich says China is 3 mil barrels less of demand due to virus. Sold Jun 39 puts but wants sell calls due to geopolitical risk. The less demand will lag, weaken supply with this shortfall.
The thing that's funny about that trade in the E-mini too is that I wanted to take it as a sim order, and if I had just clicked in on as a market with it on the wrong account, I would have gotten filled.
Live action says Russell to the moon.
I would have gotten filled, but it was because I took a second to make sure I was in the right account that I missed it. Oh man. Okay, that 31.5 is trying to puff itself up and look all menacing.
Minster Games says your bird is yelling, sell, sell.
Yeah, can you hear the bird in the background? He's been pretty loud because he missed us. That's the deal. He missed us. It's funny, I showed the bird the baby, and Jerry didn't, just kind of was looking at him and curious, and Kaze, like always, freaking out, thinking that I was bringing it there to eat him or something. I Yes, Kaze, Asher's gonna eat you. Hilarious. They're not. I don't know, man. So I suspect that it's gonna take another 4 to 5 thousand to break 31.5 again. I mean, they could do it. I don't know. The thing that's really crazy is that since they broke through here, um, it's been like flat cumulative delta. Look at those equities climb, and they be buying. Hmm. Okay, so there was a change there in the 10-year and a stack at 131. Somebody just put 1,000 at 131. So far, mostly driven by short end and pullback right now. Needs some steepening to push it. Okay, good point. So we probably should be paying attention to this 28, the 5-year. Okay. So that time they stacked a little bit more, and the 10-year actually flipped on it. In the 1104 that had been stacked at 131 pulled. Hmm. 31 kind of selling, but not 31 half selling, but not holding it because the 28 and the 5-year not being hit. It's vulnerable, but the market orders aren't coming in at 28 in the 5-year. I mean, they've got the stack on the offer. The 5-year and the 30-year are taking it, but the 5-year not hitting into it. Okay. Hmm.
Gary Rich says at live, have you been watching USD, yen? When it rotates, turns up, down, the big three indices lift and move in that direction.
It's curious, the yen has been moving down pretty strongly, and yet the treasuries don't seem all that triggered by it. If 28 breaks in the 5-year, well, the E-mini just keeps going, man. It just keeps going. Yeah, you're right. I keep putting my arms up, and I guess so. This shirt's a little tight. Not attractive. Okay, so 12. I don't, man, it's kind of a little weird. See, now it's 16 and 28 is stacking up. So maybe if he stacks it up and then pulls it again. Let's see. In the meantime, the 10-year has just been absorbing stuff. So here's kind of the same thing where if the 5-year decides to go through, then you're going to catch a bunch of people on the 10-year on the wrong side of it.
Bot says thumbs up.
Yeah. It's interesting. By the way, I am getting a potential short in the ZB. It says here that I could sell it at 12. 1660 to trade through 28. So they eventually just decided to sell it all. Okay, now I'm starting to see like look at that little trickle of orders at 27
Bot says
and
162. 21 was the sell.
Yeah. Oh, was it 20? Well, how did you get 21? How do you get 21? We're not talking the Wyatt strategy, were
Bot
we?
says
Okay,
BBZH was 162. 22.
I gotcha. You're talking about something different. No, I was talking about the Wyatt strat. Says that we can sell it here at 12. I guess you would technically. No. We haven't hit 09. We hit 09 and then it's a successful trade.
Gary Rich says potential long YM 415.
You think that they can
Bot
get
says
to the low
21
of the
was
day?
the Globix Open.
Okay. Previous low was 28.5. Interesting. Trading through there at 20 though is probably, yeah. So there's been it was really choppy between 29.5 and probably I'd say 01 in the past. Like early morning, it was really choppy in that area. So if they
RJ
just
Wheel says
plow
I took
through
my
it,
long off.
it'll be interesting if they just plow through it, but I think that I need to be a little cautious here. Okay, 31 taking it. Now there's 27.5 has a decent amount. No, they pull. I almost all pull. Okay, 5-year ticks down again. Now we're starting to see a bit of that spread reverse where the 5-year is going down farther than the 10. That flattening. 30.5 is the other end of the profile that we were talking about. So that's cool.
Gary Rich says potential short YM 369. They have to clear that support. Watch the flow.
Mm-hmm. I'd have a hard time shorting the mini anywhere above 33.66. Okay, so we got the trade that we wanted. Now we're kind of in an inflection point. Like, do we take the profit at 30.5 or do we hold it for 28? Well, if it got 28, we would have to take it off at that point. So we'll put that there. There's E-mini still going.
Minster Games says coffee is a good investment.
Coffee is a good investment. I don't really drink or know anything about coffee, so probably not a good one for me. Oh, the Treasury gonna sell it? Come on. That E-mini just goes and goes and goes. Another
RJ
stop
Wheel
run.
says if YM breaks down I've got 215 and 085 as targets.
I think they still got a little bit of I think they still got a little bit of room left in them in the ES. They're not even, well, they are a little bit overbought here. They're close. They're getting close, but there's a little bit of room.
RJ Wheels says I'm still a buyer for now.
I'm getting something going on here in the 10-year where there's a lot of level 2 changes, but the volume's not coming in. Okay. So they might have exhausted there. Yes, it's still going though. Wow. Wow. 73. There's a big old order up at 74 there. And then beyond that, there's ones at like 82, 86. I mean, at what point do the treasuries say, hey, maybe this rate cut midsummer that we want doesn't happen? I just don't see how you lower interest rates. They're already so low, and stock markets are doing so well. I really don't see how you could possibly do that. And especially when the Federal Reserve is not talking about doing it at all. Oh, come on. There you go. Hmm. Man, that that equities is just so strong. Look, they're selling it there though. So I can see a couple of you guys going short at 73, and it looks like that the E-mini is just absorbing you on the bid. That move up to Heizo was on a little bit of pulling, so there definitely is some potential for it to turn here. And this too much iceberging. Okay, 4K, yeah. No, we're good. Did the right thing. Okay. Yeah, I would have liked to have gotten the two below that, but that's okay. There's lots of things I would have liked to have done. Like that one trade, if we had taken the +4 on that second trade, then we would be like in really good spots. And this one, it worked the way that it did because we saw a second entry, so we took it.
Gary Rich says with VIX at 15 handle from 18. That's a massive volatility dump. We'll be watching tight range melt ups or downs.
That's really interesting, Gary, because it doesn't feel to me like that the risk off players have given up. You know what I mean? I mean, like right here, look, everything long from the past 20 minutes or so, I would say. Well, since the top of the hour, we'll say, has just puked. They all just dumped there. And could soon to be from the start of the session. I don't know. That's really crazy. It's really crazy. I do see a potential setup here, though. It's kind of very much against the trend, though, so I don't know if I would take that one. It would be a short somewhere around 32, 70, 50 would be right here. I don't trust that one for some reason. Okay, World Health Organization has renamed the coronavirus COVID-19. COVID-19, okay? I don't want to hear anybody calling it the coronavirus anymore. It's COVID-19. Okay. Okay, whatever. Whatever. Okay, John sent me this indicator. I want to add it on there. He says it works best on his 1600 chart of ES. Okay, well, so let's... Data series, tick, 1600. They're telling the bird to shut up. Don't need tick replay on that one. Okay. Interesting. All right, let's try and add.
Gary Rich says if we get to say 14.50 VIX, expect another risk on for a temporary bit. Most of the news has been priced in for now. That can change next week. Take it week by week.
Okay. Well, I'm so surprised that the treasuries aren't. Bloomberg pulls out win in tiny Dixville notch. How is that? Okay, I'll read that. Okay, so we have to import it. Import add-on. Where did we save it? Downloads. Okay. So it was called IRKVR. That's it right there. Man, what a complicated name. Them birds.
Pedro Garcia says pause and go.
You think that they're going to go for another high? I'm not sure anymore. I just know that the treasuries came back super hard.
Pedro Garcia says S.
Okay. Indicators. Okay.
Pedro Garcia says yes, pause and go. Gary Rich says as long as the Fed keeps providing QE not QE, that's liquidity. The market participants love liquidity. It's the mother's milk for the markets.
Yeah. So on the repo market thing again, I say that overnight repo doesn't create aggregate more demand. It just allows the demand that we've already been having to maintain its trajectory. And the trajectory has been up, so they can keep going. Because honestly, the fact of the matter is that they should have had way more reserves in the system based on the Basel requirements.
Pedro Garcia says let's talk about repo.
I'm surprised that the Federal Reserve didn't anticipate that.
Pedro Garcia says yes.
The Federal Reserve should have anticipated it. Okay, so John, how do I use this? Is it like when it's below 20,000 or above 20,000 I want to sell?
Pedro Garcia says yes.
Because if that is the case, it's telling me to sell. I don't know if this time frame strip thing is actually useful on this particular chart. I'm going to take it off. And leave the levels one on. There we go.
Bot says you're looking for divergences, usually around the extremes of the moves.
Divergences. So you mean divergences between the two lines, or?
Bot says your levels 1 won't work on a tick chart.
Yeah. Well, this one, yeah, it is like the levels one is working correctly for me. Except for that, I don't have enough days back to see earlier than that. Where was it that we were saying it had the issue? We could look at that right now. Editor.
Bot says no divergences in price moving in a different direction that the indicator is moving.
Oh. Oh, really? So what if the indicator is moving down and price appears to be moving sideways? Is that enough of a divergence?
Pedro Garcia says I love CCI for
right.
divergence.
Oh yeah, we have the CCI up there too.
Bot says no, if you look you'll see TFC levels does not work even on the hourly time frame.
Yeah, I don't know. So like if you see here on my chart, it is working. I think that it's certain edge cases. So see here, this chart right here is my tick 1600 tick chart. The open is correct, 33.65. Same as this one, 33.66.25, or oh yeah, 33.66.25. This one it says 33.65.50. Oh.
Pedro Garcia says what's the indicator?
It does it, but it might be wrong. The indicator is the
Pedro
KVO.
Garcia says? Gary Rich says the central banks are reactive then proactive. Never the reverse. The bond and euro dollar futures guys lean on these. They force the Fed into reactive responses.
Yeah, that it bothers me because like when is the Federal Reserve ever gonna, I mean, its job is to be independent from the market, and it's not. Is it just the particular environment, or is this more a systemic issue with the market, or with central banks? Hourly 0 equals open 0. See, we don't want.
Bot says trust me TFC levels does not work on tick or volume charts.
So John, I think what happens is that there's some edge cases where it's going to break and some where it's not. And it kind of depends on where the hour breaks compared to where the tick breaks. And if the tick happens after the hour, it might be different than if it happens before the hour, and that vice versa. That makes sense? So because it's trying to use the open of this bar, of this current bar. So what it is saying is if the time of the previous equals 30. Oh, I see. So like it's going to be like, let me explain. If so you have a bar.
Bot says think you need to add a hidden second series, say 1 minute to tie the hourly break to.
No, I don't think that that's necessary, but let's say that this is 30. Okay. This is 29. And this is 31. Okay. And then we talk about the tick chart. Let's say that we have a tick there's not a whole lot of volume around that time, and so your tick bar covers this whole range. Then what it's going to do when it gets over to here and it starts a new bar is it's going to say, what was the open of the previous bar? Was it 30? And it'll say, nope, it's 29.
Trader Lincoln Mitchell says YM perk up. Let's if it's set up.
And so it won't set it correctly at that point. So we need to go and look up the calculates integer value representing a time. Let's just search the whole thing for time. The whole documentation for time. Best practices. I mean, you definitely could do it with another series underneath. That would work.
Gary Rich says one way to clip the Fed. Take away that full employment mandate. A lot of what they do is to influence has changed. We've been in this 40 years monetary experiment and experience. It's fun and exciting.
You think that it's the mandate, the employment mandate? I just feel like that the indications that the Federal Reserve, well, let me take this back. The Federal Reserve understands how big of an impact it has on markets, and so it is very reluctant to do anything that is speculative. Make sense? They might think that the market might think, the speculators all think that the economy is going to go down, but the Federal Reserve waits for it to show up in the indicators, and so they're always late. Get the slot index of the first time painted on the chart. No, that's not it. Get time by x returns a time value related to the primary bar slot index at a specified x coordinate. Wasn't there like a get price by time? What was it called? Ninja Trader 8 price by time. Price at time. Get price at a specific time.
RJ Wheel says we remaking the run for YM 397. Gary Rich says the banks got into massive speculation, no doubt. The Fed provided the liquidity to do so. Banks are hard-pressed to lend due to more regulation like Dodd-Frank, Basel III and Congress. It's a mess.
Yeah. I really think that the repo crisis is like, the repo crisis thing just is so, mind-boggling to me. Like, how did the Fed not see it coming? You know?
RJ Wheel says Fed repo loans.
This repo facility thing should have been something that they should have seen from a mile away. Man, I'm trying to find it.
Trader Lincoln Mitchell says YM still hasn't close above 29,360.
Get price and specific time. Get bar.
Trader Lincoln Mitchell says it did spike above it, but it didn't close.
Yeah, and they're still kind of going sideways-ish. And the treasuries, even though the treasuries did eventually come down and push a little bit lower, they're still back to the 131. Get bar.
Gary Rich says that Basel III is bad. Banks have to have liquidity for intraday moves like 1-hour moves, not just 24 hours or 30-day reserves. It's a mess.
Returns a chart, bars, index value calculated from the time parameter specified. Get bar IDX by time. Indicator, getting indicator values from a specified time. Sometimes you may want to access a value from a historical point in time, but have not kept track of the value to make this readily available. With NinjaScript, it is possible to pick a bar based on time to access that value. GetBar returns the number of bars ago that holds the same timestamp of the time you request. The sample demonstrates how to get an indicator value from 9:30 a.m. of the previous trading day. And they use GetBar. Now let's open up their little example that they've got. Sample GetBar. GetBar. Sample GetBar. Open. I don't want to open it in Visual Studio. Yeah. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oops. It says it's already on there. Okay. So I have to open it up this way. Desktop. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. Determine the number of bars ago it would take to access the 9:30 a.m. bar for the previous trading day by pulling the bar's index and subtracting from the current bar. GetBar returns the first bar that matches the timestamp for the 9:30 bar if it exists, or the number for the first bar after 9:30 a.m. If there isn't a specific bar with the exact 9:30 timestamp with tick bars, it is possible for many bars to have the exact same timestamp. In this case, the first bar of all the bars with the same timestamp is returned. And then they draw from the bars ago. But that wouldn't give us the exact time. So not helpful. That's a useful sample, though. maybe you do have to have an underlying, like if it's not, if you have to say if it's not time-based bars to make an underlying series to do it based on. E-mini goes. They pushing hard. There's a lot of shorts there stuck short, man. They've got about 9,500. Okay, what are you saying here? Miguel, one question. What kind of trading do you do? Because I cannot see you today open a trade, or I might be wrong. Oh, well, so Miguel, I did open a trade if we, so I'll show you. I had two bad ones and I had one good one, and that one good one actually ended up being two trades really together. And you can see when we opened them up at 6:51 my time. So if you want to go back and watch the video at 51, 55, 7:41, the way that you can tell when I'm in a position is you will see stuff in this column right here to say how much I make or lose. And you'll see the price that I'm long or short from turn red or blue in the price column. That's how you can, I don't know if you can see my mouse there, but that's how you can tell. So there's the three that I took. I'm very much a short-term scalper. He says, okay. So yeah. So, but I haven't taken one recently because we kind of came down into here and now we're stuck in this spot. And I would rather not be selling 30 to see 28.5, even though I think it might happen. Because see, look, there's somebody absorbing at 30. That Basel 3 is bad. Banks have to have liquidity for intraday moves like 1 hour moves, not just 24-hour or 30-day reserves. It's a mess. Well, it's just like, I just feel like there's a certain point at which you become too risk averse, right? You become too risk averse, then you prevent people from making money. And there's this problem where I feel that the politicians don't understand that a certain amount of risk is necessary and good for the system. And they need to accept that we have to take risks and just have safety procedures set up in case things don't work out so that somebody taking a risk doesn't blow up the whole economy. You know what I mean? But the whole thing is like the Federal Reserve can't predict how much the banks are going to need based off of these new Basel regulations. Like, they should have seen it coming. The repo crisis, they should have seen it coming, and I just don't understand. They never sat down and said, because of Basel regulations, we need to print more, need to have more treasuries in the market. Makes sense. But they never sat down and said that. It's really curious to me. I don't know what's going on. I suspect that the Federal Reserve has become too invested in itself as an institution, you know? Like, there is a way that they do things and there's a culture there and they don't want to change that. And they're not trying to evolve with the market, you know? And I think in the past, some Federal Reserve presidents have said, well, this is the situation. And I know that this isn't what the Federal Reserve would have done in the past, but things are different now. You know, like Ben Bernanke, that's what he did. He said, well, we screwed up. We're going to pull the interest rates all the way down because that's what we have to do. And there was plenty of people that thought it was ridiculous at the time, but he was right. And why isn't the current Fed president sitting down and saying, well, we need to increase the number of reserves because of the repo crisis and we need to do this and that, you know? It just doesn't, I don't know. Gary Rich, I lost 12 months of Tesla profits at the end of 2019. In 2 weeks, I got it all back. Suck it, Elon. Watches China factory fall short again. I get reports on that piece of crap. 100-year flood zone, mosquitoes galore. Man, it's so crazy to me how many, because we had somebody just this morning that was like, hey, Tesla, like, okay. It's not my kind of trade. Okay. See, I could change the logic here to say if the time of this one is greater than 30 and the time of the previous one is less than 30, then set that, but it's going to pick the wrong price for the open. Makes sense? So I'm not sure there's a way to do it on a tick-based chart without having an underlying series. Maybe John was right. Either way. Well, I'll have to look at that. I'll probably be on a little bit later, John, so we can mess with things. I mean, I got a couple of things I want to do this morning. I want to do my taxes. I want to take a nap. Let's see what else we've got to do for my wife. I don't know if I'm going to take the whole week off, but I can take the whole week off if I want to. So, yeah. But I don't really see a lot of good opportunities anymore. Treasuries did stack up, so that's cool. We did get the short. I wish that I had gotten more out of it, but we did get it. So I have to say it was an okay day. An okay day for coming out. It still sucks that we didn't get the long at 62. 33.62, that would have been amazing. Treasuries did not make that new high and stopped everybody out either. Okay, well. Yep, I guess that's about it, guys. Thank you all, guys. All 5 likes. Good deal. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Check out the Patreon. We'll be posting those notes. Leave your comments on afterwards. So like when I shut the stream down, it'll like go and process for a couple minutes, like 30 minutes, and then you can come back and comment how you did on the day and what you thought about the action. It's a really good, we like to comment on the video because it kind of gives us an idea of what was going on that day. For when we go back, I don't have to like watch the whole video to figure out what was going on. I can just look at the comments. So, and lots of new names. So McWell, well, I think McWell was here a couple of days ago, wasn't he? And Lincoln Mitchell, that's a new one. So thank you for stopping by and sharing. I'm not really a YM trader, but I still find that stuff interesting. And I know that a lot of other traders here might find that useful. So thank you. Well, we can talk more about this repo thing tomorrow because it seems like people are still super interested in it. Okay, so yeah, that's it. I will see you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable.